Chef Christian, thank you for being here today.
Great to be here. How are you today?
Very good, thanks. And I was able to do a little bit of additional research on you and the City of Hope, which is a facility, a healthcare facility that treats people with cancer, diabetes, and other life-threatening illnesses. They had a really good article about you on their website, and I learned a couple of things about you. So, and before we really delve into this, I just have to ask, it says here you are the 13th chef in your family, which I think is so crazy. Like too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, is that ever, because I think sometimes just me and my mom were too many cooks in the kitchen growing up. So like, tell me about, how did this all come about and where did you grow up?
Well, I believe now a few of the chefs, unfortunately, have passed that were ahead of me.
RIP.
But at the time that I became a chef, that I went through culinary school, I was the 13th. There's more behind me now, so which is good. I'll have replacements after I'm gone. Um, I, uh, I, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I was born in Pennsylvania. We lived back and forth between there and England. So
Mm.
I was, I had a unique childhood. Grew up in a rural part of Pennsylvania. Uh, my my parents had a health food company as well as my grandparents.
Yeah.
Got to see a unique side of the industry as far as food's concerned.
Yeah, so interesting. I saw that your granddad sold some muesli
And
to
then
General Mills.
they had some very unique items that was all health food. So going into the industry, working in five-star restaurants, 4 and 5 star hotel properties,
Right.
um, at a resort, going to culinary school, becoming a chef. I went into a different part of the food industry that my parents and my grandparents were in, and it kind of groomed me for what I need to be able to do here. So I feel like now that I've come to City of Hope, where I've been here nearly 5 years, I've kind of come full circle, going
Yeah.
from starting in the health industry, seeing it at a very young age, and then being a chef in all the higher levels of cooking and country clubs, and then coming to a full scale comprehensive cancer care center. I really needed all of those years of experience to be able to do what we do today.
For sure, for sure. And coming from fine dining into healthcare, which is, that's kind of a path that like a few people, at least that I know, have taken. And you kind of lean into that in the healing power of food and how it's nourishing your body and your soul. And when you're there in the hospital, it's so different than providing food for like those happy events where you're at a restaurant, a celebration. So it's like you're kind of nourishing somebody when they really need it the most. And one thing I wanted to talk about is you've been big on the comfort food, but not just comfort food like as a Midwesterner would know it as. This is, you have patients from China, Ethiopia, Armenia, India, Korea, Japan,
Right.
and you have looked into those comfort foods too. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Here at City Hope, everything that you eat is really connected to cancer, and eating healthier foods, and all of them, trying to get away from any of the processed canned foods,
Totally.
making sure that everything that we utilize is fresh, organic, locally grown, sustainable farms, sustainable fishery too, wild caught, RBS free tea, RBS tea free
Yeah,
dairy.
that stuff and milk.
Um,
Yes.
right, really pushes, you know, all of what we do with any of the diets that we're trying to maintain here. There's we're very fortunate with the clinical nutrition uh, office that we have here, the dietitians.
Okay.
we have a large community of Asian, specifically Chinese patients, and a lot of our dietitians are Chinese as well, and they've given me a lot of insight into a lot of the simple dishes.
Mm.
Chawanmushi is a prime example of it's a savory custard,
Oh,
and a lot of patients uh, going through therapy they'll have just simple canker sores, simple mouth sores,
yeah.
and it really makes it so. I mean, just adding a touch of lemon to it, I might as well have poured acid onto something.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
So it's so simple, a simple dish like that, and there's a rice porridge that we utilize uh, for patients that you know they want something warm in their tummy.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. And these are some of the congee that we
Yeah.
also provide, the porridge with the chicken broth and chicken.
Mm.
It's something simple, something that had I not really caught it working in maybe a hotel or fine restaurant, but getting that where that's grandma's best recipe.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And it is that warmth and that comfort, and the idea that it can, the way that you're nourishing yourself, the way that you're eating can have some effect on cancer. Because it's like, I mean, I know everybody does, but I hate cancer. Like we all have been affected, like different family members, like my cousin just recently, and she's doing well with her treatment.
Good.
My friend's dad, we just found out that he is going to have to lose his bladder from, I mean, it's really all the time. It's all around us and it sucks. I'm just really just sick of it. But it's like there are, doctors, nurses, researchers, and you who are like part of that getting better process, because basically, I mean, the treatment for cancer is basically poison. It's like you're putting horrible things in your body. So, can you talk a little bit more about the health aspects of like how your diet can counteract some of those like just awful things that your body is going through?
No, sure. A lot of the food products, a couple years ago, we really kind of pinpointed uh, what what the specific foods were
Mhm.
that were issues. So we came up with a banned list and then a list of avoid items. So
Okay.
we go through. We have a little over 1,800 items that
Oh,
we that
wow.
that we purchase. So that could be chicken, saltine crackers,
Yeah.
so our whole inventory list. But we painstakingly go through the list and be sure that anything that we're purchasing has no dyes in it, no
Hmm.
colors, no preservatives, TBHQ, BHA, BHT, no MSG.
Hmm.
There's also ways that manufacturers will hide MSG. They'll hide it in autolyzed yeast extracts.
Yeah, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with that, but I've kind of been understanding that it's maybe not as bad as its reputation. But again, we could, there's research to be done, and I don't want to speak on something that I don't really know about. But what were
Sure.
some other, like, other than ingredients, were there any like foods that were on your like no go list, no fly, like you don't want these food? Would it be like, I don't know, processed like meat, like sandwich meat, or what would you say?
We try and utilize, so any of the take for example ham, if we do have it on a menu, and if it is going to be offered, it's going to be uncured ham.
Hmm.
I'm going to try and at least reduce the salt to something.
Yeah.
If there's, and honestly, we really don't purchase a lot of items that are processed.
Yep.
So,
Right. Okay, that's
and,
cool.
and the items that we do buy, they're like French fries.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we do have those available in our cafe,
Yeah.
but that's not really that's not particularly available for our patients.
For on the patient menu, right? So what are on the other end of the spectrum? What are like some foods that you've found are like, I don't know, beyond like the so-called like superfoods, because it's, like fruits and vegetables are good, but is there any specific things that you've found that are like, boy, this really this helps people? Like what are some great ingredients?
It's really just eating everything as fresh as you possibly can. You know, anything with loaded with antioxidants, any kind of berries, fresh raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. Um, we have uh, coming up is prostate month in the next few months,
Yeah.
and
Check the prostates, guys.
we put more of an emphasis on anything that we can with lycopene, uh, any of the produce that what is it, cruciferous
Yeah.
produce that you'll be able to eat, stuff like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, a
Oh,
lot of the bigger green leafy vegetables
mhm.
that you're chicory, anything that's a little bit on more on the bitter side, and then there's ways to cook it so that
Yeah.
it's delicious and not something that you got to really kind of choke down.
Right.
And that's part of where the doctors are specifically going to give us a list of nutrients that they need to hit
Yeah.
for the patients, that the clinical nutrition office is going to say that, okay, this is what we've got to be able to provide for some particular patients. And here at City of Hope, we could be dealing with any kind of renal diet, soft GI diet, a consistent carb diet, for example.
Oh,
And then you throw in somebody's allergy to something. I personally am allergic to nuts, so we try and tailor any of those kinds of diets around what the patient's needs are, and then
yeah.
what the doctor is prescribing, so that we don't interfere with any of the medications that they
Oh,
need
yeah,
to take.
'cause that's a thing too. You always hear about grapefruit. Like it's always older people are like,
Right.
leave me alone with the grapefruit. They're like, no, no, no. And I saw that you had made some really cool things. There was an herb risotto that just looked very fresh, and a
All
chicken
right.
tortilla soup that looked super comforting. And then what I thought was my favorite one that I saw just out of the couple of things that they sent me was the mango papaya salsa. And
Uh-huh.
I just recently read something about papayas that like they are super good. Like I don't know what it is. And it's hard to say. It's like they clean your body or whatever it is, but like they're supposed to be really, really good for you.
Well, a lot of the fruits that are more tropical,
Yeah,
papaya being one of them. They're great for kidney function. And
that's what I've heard. Yep.
it's that's something that a lot of people don't really always think about.
And
And
yeah, it like rinses you out or something, which is the kidneys are kind of like they've got to take the brunt of like passing through all these things through our bodies.
that
And
your kidneys, your gallbladder, your liver, these are some
yeah,
of the things that keep us cleaned out.
absolutely. And I mean, I think it's more rewarding when you think about food, more just other than like it's good for me. It's like you're like, no, this is specifically targeting like you know what I mean? Like, or if you can feel like you're doing something functional, and that's a trend that I think we're seeing a lot of is the functional food. So I also wanted to ask you, um, we're in the middle of summer right now, basically like in the halfway point of the year. Like, what are you planning for the next half of the year? Like, things are getting better pandemic wise, like opening up more. So do you have any, like, what's on your sort of schedule that you're looking forward to?
Well, our patient menus, we change them every 12 weeks. They're on a seasonal change.
Okay.
We'll look forward to, for the next couple months, putting in as many items with, like I mentioned, any of the berries.
Oh,
Watermelon right now is huge.
oh,
Uh, we're able, some of the citrus is already still coming back. We've
mhm.
had pineapple that looks great right now,
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of the melons, the Brix level is very high on it. So
Yeah.
we're utilizing a lot of the fruit instead of having another dessert made with simple sugars.
Right, right. Watermelons are so big. I was doing the Noom diet plan, which is it's basically just like a meal tracker that's on your phone, but they were so big on watermelon because it is not calorie dense. Like if you are trying to lose weight, it's theoretically is supposed to because it keeps you filled up. And I just had an aversion to it for a while because I was like, but now I'm getting back to it. And it's obviously like in season, it's summertime. So
Watermelon being fat free, still got a lot of antioxidants to it, either the yellow or the red.
oh my gosh, and you can make pickles out of the rind and like there's just so
Oh
many
yeah.
things that go on with that. Do you do much
Well,
pickling? What do you
and something like watermelon where it's, I'm sorry, I said again.
Oh, like in terms of pickling, like do you when you get fresh stuff, do you pickle some of it for use in the
Sure.
future?
Yeah, we make our own pastrami. We make our own corned beef.
Ooh,
So I mean, we'll pickle meats just because then I can remove the sodium out of a lot of stuff
right,
completely.
right.
So when we do any specials or that'll come up in the fall. We'll have that. We'll have a Reuben on the menu for the patients, and then we corn the beef ourselves. We get the brisket in whole, and then we'll pickle it. But we do pickle two types of pickles that we have: pickle chips, and then pickle spears, and small. Like we'll do little uh, small Epicurean
Oh, yeah.
cucumbers. But then and everything we'll get in is organic.
Hmm.
But the regular size dill spear, there's no way we could keep up with the volume. So that one we purchased. It's a fresh one that we purchased directly from one of our vendors.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. My daughter is actually growing some of the little kind, and they're on my
Oh, the
front porch
gherkins.
actually. I didn't have much success in the backyard, so I'm just growing them on the front porch this year and they're thriving. They have the little tendrils that are wrapping around that's so fun
Oh
to
yeah.
see. I mean, growing this stuff. So, all right. Well, we literally, me and Chef to watch, we are going to be watching you and keeping up with you and finding out what's happening. And I wanted to see, is there anything else that you wanted to mention with us or to bring up?
Um, I noticed you wanted to see what we were doing that's interesting, and um, we I started back in 2017. We started doing the cooking classes that you saw a couple of the videos.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, that these were all funded by the Hilton Foundation, a grant that we received from them, and we just hit our 100th class. Even in the middle of the pandemic, we
Nice.
switched over from a live class to Zoom meetings, and actually it worked out pretty well. We were probably doing between 20 and 25 in a live class just because of space,
Hmm.
and we went over to probably doing between 40 and 70 participants,
Nice.
and some of those folks were even cooking in there while I was showing the class. They were doing it at home,
Oh, yeah.
so it worked out pretty well. And now that's going to be something that we're in the middle of building a new hotel on the property,
Oh, yeah. I did
and we're
ask
going to
about that. That's right.
transition. Yeah, we're gonna transition some of that, what we've been doing on the Zoom classes for the cooking classes, to some of the patients that will leave as a patient and then go in
Mhm.
to the hotel as a guest for whatever time that they need to probably go to the outpatient center,
Right.
and hopefully we'll get them to do some cooking in the room.
Yeah.
We're
So kind of
installing kitchenettes in many of the rooms.
so like a meal kit situation you were thinking of where it would be
Exactly.
like a box that they could get. That could be very cool. And that what a difference that makes when you are staying somewhere far away from home, when you just have even just a little kitchenette where you can do something where you don't feel so much like you're cooped up in a hotel room. So that sounds amazing. We're going to definitely follow that along too. So we will be back in touch with you before you know it. We would love to have you come back on the show also if you would like to.
Okay, great. Sounds
Cool.
good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.